Indian economy during reforms. An assessment. The reform process has completed 1.5 decades since its introduction. Let us now look at the performance of the Indian economy during this period. In economics, growth of an economy is measured by the gross domestic product. The growth of GDP increased from 5.6% during 1980-91 to 8.2% during 2007-2012. During the reform period, the growth of agriculture has declined. While the industrial sectors reported fluctuation, the growth of service sector has gone up. This indicates that the growth is mainly driven by the growth in the service sector. The 12th Plan, 2012 to 2017, envisages the GDP growth at 9 or 9.5%. In order to achieve such a high growth rate, the agriculture, industrial and service sectors have to grow at the rates of 4 to 4.2, 9.6 to 10.9, and 10 percentage points, respectively. The opening up of the economy has led to rapid increase in foreign direct investment and foreign exchange reserves. The foreign investment, which includes foreign direct investment or FDI and foreign institutional investment or FII, has increased from about $100 million in 1990-91 to $73.5 billion in 2014-15. There has been an increase in the foreign exchange reserves from about $6 billion in 1991 to about $321 billion in 2014-15. India is seen as a successful exporter of auto parts, engineering goods, IT software and textiles in the reform period. However, though the GDP growth rate has increased in the reform period, scholars point out that the reform-led growth has not generated sufficient employment opportunities in the country. Let us understand the impact of reforms in the agriculture sector. Reforms in agriculture. Reforms have not been able to benefit agriculture, where the growth rate has been decelerating. Public investment in agriculture sector, especially in infrastructure, which includes irrigation, power, roads, market linkages, and research and extension, which played a crucial role in the Green Revolution, has fallen in the reform period. Further, the removal of fertilizer subsidy has led to increase in the cost of production, which has severely affected the small and marginal farmers. This sector has been experiencing a number of policy changes, such as reduction in import duties on agricultural products, removal of minimum support price, and lifting of quantitative restrictions on agricultural products. These have adversely affected Indian farmers as they now have to face increased international competition. Moreover, because of export-oriented policy strategies in agriculture, there has been a shift from production for the domestic market towards production for the export market, focusing on cash crops in lieu of production of food grains. This puts pressure on prices of food grains. Let us understand the impact of reforms in the industrial sector. Reforms in industry. Industrial growth has also recorded a slowdown. This is because of decreasing demand of industrial products due to various reasons such as cheaper imports, inadequate investment in infrastructure, etc. In a globalized world, developing countries are compelled to open up their economies to greater flow of goods and capital from developed countries and rendering their industries vulnerable to imported goods. Cheaper imports have thus replaced the demand for domestic goods. Domestic manufacturers are facing competition from imports. The infrastructure facilities, including power supply, have remained inadequate due to lack of investment. Let us understand the impact of reforms related to fiscal policies. Reforms and fiscal policies. Economic reforms have placed limits on the growth of public expenditure, especially in social sector. The tax reduction in the reform period aimed at yielding larger revenue and to curb tax evasion have not resulted in increase in tax revenue for the government. Also, the reform policies involving tariff reduction have curtailed the scope for raising revenue through custom duties. In order to attract foreign investment, tax incentives were provided to foreign investors, which further reduced the scope for raising tax revenues. This has a negative impact on developmental and welfare expenditures.